Five Nights at Freddy's 2 steps things up from the original in terms of difficulty, including a cast of 11 characters and a max mode infamous for its heavy RNG. Over the years, however, very technical strategies were created to remove most and even all RNG from the game entirely, leaving a difficult and complex skill-based challenge which I'm going to be taking on in today's video. I'm also going to explain the strategy and why it works so that you can beat the night for yourself. With that said, let's get into it. I'm going to go over the basics of the game. I'll go into more detail later, so if you already know the basics, you can skip to the timestamp on screen. In this game, you are in an office containing two vents and a hallway. Both vents have a light that you can use, and you also have a flashlight for the hallway that's activated by pressing control. There are no doors in this game. Instead, you use an empty Freddy mask to stop most animatronics from killing you. You also have the camera system, of course. The goal of the game is to survive until 6 AM, which takes 7 minutes. There are two main categories of characters in this game, vent animatronics and blackout animatronics. Vent animatronics will crawl into your vents, and when you see them, you have to put your mask on until they leave. Toy Chica will kill you if you don't put your mask on in time. Mango will hang from your ceiling if you enter the camera while she's in the vent, and will eventually kill you from there. BB will not kill you, but will instead enter your office and disable your flashlight. When blackout animatronics get close enough to your office, they will enter your office when you put the camera down and start a blackout. If you wait too long to put the mask on, they will kill you. They can also sometimes force your camera down to start a blackout. Besides these categories, there is Toy Bonnie, who is basically a mix between a vent animatronic and a blackout animatronic. He will show up in your right office vent, but when you put the mask on, he will come into your office and start a blackout. The puppet will kill you if you don't keep the music box in cam 11 wound up. If you let the music box run out, he will play Pop Goes the Weasel and move very quickly to your office before killing you. He is not affected by the Freddy mask. Foxy isn't affected by the Freddy mask either. Instead, you have to keep him from attacking by flashing the hallway. If you wait too long to flash him, he will kill you. And finally, we have Golden Freddy, who works very strangely compared to the rest. He can appear in your office when you flip the cameras down. Much like the blackout animatronics, if you don't put your mask on in time, he'll kill you. However, he doesn't cause a blackout, so he can pretty much be ignored since you should be putting your mask on right after leaving the cameras anyway. He can also appear in the hall. If he does, you need to immediately stop flashing him. If you flash him for too long, he'll kill you. With this in mind, the typical strategy for the game is to check the left vent, hall, and right vent. Put your mask on if you see anything in the vent, then open the cameras and whine for a few seconds before exiting the cameras quickly and putting the mask on. If nothing is there, you immediately pull the mask up and repeat the cycle. If a blackout occurs, you keep the mask on until the end of the blackout and then repeat the cycle. There's no technical knowledge required for the strategy, as it's the strategy you'll eventually pick up when playing the base game. And this strat works pretty well for the base game, including all the other custom night challenges. However, the same cannot be said about Golden Freddy mode. This one's just two characters. Yeah, 1020 mode, let's do it. How in the world does Toy Freddy even work? Dude. I think somebody was in my vent. Somebody was in my vent. Well, this is a rough one. Well. See, this run is going marginally better. Bro, get out of my vent. Okay, well, there goes my music box. It's gone. I don't know if anything was there or not, but I don't really have time to care. Dude, my music box is not looking too healthy right now. No. Let's play a game of will I ever be able to fully wind the music box? Let's see. And this stupid balloon boy. Oh, yeah. He's camping my vent. Bro just stayed in my vent for half of the night. Why? There's too many. Okay, I am gonna need to get need to study. I grinded too much. After this stream, I decided to start seriously attempting this challenge. I made some small optimizations to the strategy on my first day of serious attempts, but it was more or less the same. When Toy Chica, Mangle, or BB is in the vent, they stay there for a maximum of 5 seconds after you put the mask on. A blackout lasts for a little under 5 seconds, so if a vent animatronic is there and you pull your mask up right after the blackout ends, there's a chance the vent animatronic will still be there, which will waste a ton of time. If you instead wait to pull your mask up until you can start to see the office again, any animatronic that was in the vents will leave. Well, besides besides Toy Bonnie, of course. If you get unlucky with Toy Bonnie, he can literally stay in the vent the entire night until you die to Puppet because he has no maximum wait time before starting a blackout. This was the result of my attempts using the old strat. The furthest I got was 1 AM. One of the big issues I was having in the beginning was Foxy. I was spending too much time in the cameras and in blackouts. I tried solving this by spending less time winding the music box, but that came with another issue. I wasn't winding the music box enough. Most of the time I could only get a little bit of winding in before something pulled my cameras down and forced me into a blackout. And when I could wind the box, I couldn't wind it for too long or else Foxy would kill me. So I decided to try a new strategy. But before I get into the strategy, I'm going to explain how the animatronics in this game work in a little more detail. I won't be going over everything, but I'll explain enough so that you have an understanding of why the strategy I'm about to talk about works. I got most of this information from Jerikai Games and the Bones 5 on YouTube, as well as from the comments on those videos. I'll have them linked in the description, so check them out after this one if you want some more information. If you've ever watched a technical video about FNAF, you'll know that the animatronics in this game run on intervals. In this game, every character has a chance to move every 5 seconds. These are called movement opportunities. Toy Chica, Mangle, and BB all have a 1 in 10 chance to leave every second when the mask is on. After 5 seconds, they leave automatically. When Toy Bonnie is in your vent and you put the mask on, he has a 50% chance of triggering a blackout every 0.5 seconds if no other animatronic is attacking. If a blackout is happening, he has a 33.3% chance of leaving every second. There's no limit of how long he can stay in the vent for, which is why he has such a bad reputation among anyone who has played 1020 mode. The blackout animatronics have a queuing system. Only one blackout animatronic can attack every 10 seconds, so when more blackout animatronics get close enough to attack, they get queued up and have to wait their turn. On 1020 mode, there will almost always be a blackout animatronic waiting to attack you in the next 10-second interval. The music box takes 16.67 seconds to fully unwind. After it unwinds, the puppet will move towards your office. He has a movement opportunity every 1 second instead of every 5. When he reaches your office, he has a 1 in 10 chance of killing you every second. Foxy has a weird movement equation that isn't very important for this video, but when he enters the hallway, he starts an attack counter at 50. This counter goes down every frame and is reset every time you flash the hall. If he gets a successful movement opportunity while this counter is at 0, he'll kill you. Basically, when you flash him, he can't kill you for 0.83 seconds. Golden Freddy doesn't move around the building. Instead, he has 2 possible attacks. If he gets a successful movement opportunity, he will appear in your office. As for the hallway attack, he has a 1 in 11 chance to appear in your hallway every second if no other character is there. While he is there, he has a counter that will increase every frame that the flashlight is on. If this reaches 100, he'll kill you. He will leave when another character enters the hall. This brings us to a strategy that I got from Braden on YouTube. This strategy takes advantage of the movement intervals in the game and uses a live split stopwatch to track them. The first 25 seconds of the strategy are different than the rest of the night. For the first 20 seconds, you just wind the music box and flash Foxy before every 5-second interval. At 20 seconds, you wait in the office until 24 seconds, then flash Foxy, wait until 25 seconds, then enter the camera and wind. This is where the main section of the strategy starts. There are 3 main cycles that this strategy contains: the general cycle, the Toy Bonnie cycle, and the no blackout cycle. Of course, only Toy Bonnie would be annoying enough to get his own dedicated cycle. Every cycle starts with winding the music box until just after the 4.5-second interval. Then you turn on your flashlight, drop the cameras, and put on your mask. It's important to get this timing correct because both Foxy and Golden Freddy have specific times that they can attack, and if you're too early or too late, one of them will kill you. If there is a blackout, you are in a general cycle. This will happen most of the time because of the queuing system I talked about earlier. After the blackout ends, you want to wait until just after the 5-second interval to pull your mask up so that if Toy Chica, Mangle, or BB are in the vents, they are guaranteed to leave. This means that if there is a blackout, you'll never have to check the left vent. After you pull the mask up, you wait until the next 2 or 7 seconds on the stopwatch and then flash the hall and use the right vent light to stall Toy Bonnie. At the next 5-second interval, you flip up your camera and wind. If Toy Bonnie is in your vent after the blackout, you enter the Toy Bonnie cycle. To start it off, wait until the next 4 or 9 seconds on your stopwatch, and then flash the hall and put your mask on. After he leaves, immediately enter the cameras and wind into the next 4.5-second interval. For the next 2 or 3 cycles until your music box is fully wound again, you flash and put your mask on in the next 4.5-second interval like before, but then you immediately pull your camera and wind again after the blackout. After the music box is fully wound up, you return to the general cycle. If you pull down your cameras and there is no blackout, it is a no blackout cycle. In this cycle, you first check to see if Toy Bonnie is there. If he is, you put on your mask, let him do a blackout, and then enter the camera and wind into the next 4.5-second interval before returning to the general cycle. If Toy Bonnie isn't there but Toy Chica, BB, or Mangle is there, you wait until the next 2 or 7 seconds on the stopwatch and then flash and put your mask on for a full 5 seconds. After this, you take your mask off, flash Foxy, and stall Toy Bonnie into the next 5-second interval. Then wind and return to the general cycle. If nobody is in the vent, you simply pull the cameras up and wind into the next 4.5-second interval and return to the general cycle. This strategy is a little bit complicated, but it's not that bad when you get the hang of it. Braden's video goes into more detail, so check that out if you want to try this for yourself. I'll also be giving you some tips throughout my completion. When I first started trying to implement this strategy, it didn't go so well. I was averaging less than 40 seconds, which is just awful. I mean, look at this drop in time. I kept dying within the first 20 seconds. This part is extremely lenient, so it really had no reason to be this difficult for me. Nevertheless, I continued to eat up my attempts. 30 seconds was also a huge struggle for me because it's the beginning of the first general cycle. I kept dying to it over and over and over again. This simply came down to timing, but something about it being the first mask timing of the night really got me. I kept dying to Foxy at the flash after the blackout. Because of this, I started experimenting with the strategy and adding a whole bunch of extra flashes to it to try to make it more consistent. I thought this would be a recurring thing throughout all my attempts, but weirdly enough, I started to instinctively remove the extra flashes as I got better at the timings. I didn't really expect this to happen since it didn't seem to harm the strategy at all, and I was just learning it, but it's probably better that way anyway. All the non-standard cycles were very difficult to me because I was still trying to get used to the general cycle. I kept getting Toy Bonnie, which totally changes the cycle, and I never actually managed to recover from it during the session. However, I did start getting more used to the general cycle. On top of that, where I was previously confused about my deaths, I started to understand why I was dying and would be able to correct it. Most of the time, it came down to being too late on an interval. By the end of the day, I managed to get a 2 a.m. run at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This happened on my last attempt of the night, so I ended the day feeling pretty good about my progress. The next day though, I was struggling to even reach a minute. I was starting to feel very discouraged at this point. Golden Freddy was really starting to cause issues. It was obviously because I was off with the intervals, but I didn't understand how. In Braden's guide, he said to start flashing the lights and the cameras just after 4.5 seconds, but when I waited until the 0.5 second mark, I would die every time without fail. I was about ready to give up at this point, but then I pulled off this run. That was so close. Just 2 more hours. I didn't win, but I got a 4 a.m. run, which was a huge improvement. I messed up the cycles a lot during it, but I still managed to live until 4 a.m. I died to the puppet because I messed up too many inputs and was too slow at pulling up the cameras. But I finally felt like 1020 mode was achievable. It was just a matter of speeding up my inputs. I had resorted to starting the flash and pulling down the mask at the 4.3 second interval instead of just after the 4.5 second interval. I figured it was probably just because I was too slow at starting the stopwatch or something, but I had a feeling of dread because I thought I was doing the strategy wrong. I even reviewed the footage of Braden's completion and saw that he had about the same delay in starting the stopwatch that I had. But upon doing a frame-by-frame analysis of my footage, I found out that I was actually flashing at just about the 4.5 second interval. It looked like I simply had a reaction delay of about 0.2 seconds, so when I started flashing as soon as I saw 4.3, I ended up starting the flash at around the 4.5 second interval. I decided to test this theory by doing a reaction time test, and the results seemed to check out. I was consistently getting around a 0.26 second time. This discovery made me feel much better about the whole run because it proved that I do know the strategy better than I thought I did. I just didn't know myself well enough. If you're attempting max mode strategies based on intervals, I would highly recommend doing one of these tests yourself and adjusting your timings accordingly because this is what made the run possible for me. At this point, it felt like I was in the final stretch. I could taste victory, so I kept going. And a few attempts later, I got a 2 a.m. attempt and a 4 a.m. attempt in a row. I also got paper pals, so that's neat. I was getting more consistent. Victory was just around the corner. However, this feeling came with another issue: nerves. Half of the challenge of max modes is controlling your emotions, especially your nerves during the run and your frustration when you die over and over again. And seeing 4 a.m. really made my nerves shoot through the roof. For nearly 6 years now, I've really only played games casually, usually sticking to things like Minecraft with friends and messing around in co-op horror games like Lethal Company and Phasmophobia. I wasn't used to the stress and frustration of a challenge like this, but I knew I could do it. I used to grind FNAF and Geometry Dash in middle school. I just had to get used to it again. Then, on my 4th day of attempts, I got this run. Yes. Golden Freddy mode, baby. Let's go. Look at that. Look at that. We got the Golden Freddy plushie. It's beautiful. Whoops. I did it. After a total of 2 hours and 71 attempts, it was finally done. I messed up so many times during this run too. The nerves were clearly affecting my inputs. I kept missing the mask button and there were so many points where I thought I was dead. This was the worst point. My brain just sort of shut down and then Toy Bonnie showed up. But after that, I knew that Toy Bonnie wasn't going to be there for a bit, so I spent a few cycles just winding the music box instead of checking him. This strategy is surprisingly forgiving if you know the intervals well enough. Here's the final graph of my attempts. And yes, these 2 hours of attempts were spread out over 4 days. It's a pretty busy time of the year right now, so I didn't really have much time per day to dedicate to the challenge. I started a tier list where I'll be ranking every max mode I've completed. FNAF 2 is going to go in S tier right now because it's the hardest challenge I've ever beaten. It isn't all that interesting yet because there's literally only 2, but I'll be doing FNAF 3 Aggressive Nightmare mode soon, so subscribe so you don't miss that. Thank you all so much for making it this far in the video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe as it'll really help me out. I'll be uploading videos of the rest of the FNAF max mode, so stay tuned for those. If you want me to make in-depth guide videos on FNAFs 1 and 2, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.